So I finally decided I don't want to be a chartered accountant. I don't want to be a CASA. And yes, I'm still the same boy who got 100% in accounting in matric.
And the top performing Quintile 1 learner, we have from Gauteng, Blessing Mlambo.
And for almost all my university journey, I was always part of the top 5 in my accounting degree. And yes, I don't want to be a chartered accountant anymore. I don't want to follow the default path. And in this video, I'm going to speak about what led me to making this decision. But first, we're going to dive into a bit of background of who I am for those who don't know me, and then we're going to speak about why I made the decision. And I'm also going to pull lessons from a book I'm currently reading which led me to making this decision basically. So let's kick it off. For those who don't know me, my name is Blessing. I grew up in Pretoria, and for almost all my schooling journey from primary school all the way to high school, I was always part of the top performing students. And back then I used to work so hard because good grades are all that mattered to me. And I knew that if I wanted to change my life or move to a different environment or a different city from the small township where I was raised, I needed to get good grades so I can get to a good university and I'll be able to move to a different city. And I did exactly that. So high school, I chose commerce subjects because in grade 7, I got introduced to this career path, CASA, right? And I was like, this is what I want to do. So I've always knew that I want to follow the CASA route from grade 7. High school, I choose commerce subjects. I'm like, I know I want to be a chartered accountant, so I'm just going to choose commerce subjects. And then in matric, I'm fortunate enough to be one of the top performing students in the entire country, and I was invited by the Minister of Basic Education to the matric awards ceremony. And one of my highest marks in matric, actually my highest mark in matric, it was accounting. I got 100% in accounting. And I saw that as a sign that this is a sign I need to follow the CASA route because I got 100% in accounting after all, right? That means I'm a master in accounting. Just jokes. So I went on to apply for BCom Financial Accounting at the University of Cape Town, and I moved to Cape Town, which was nice. So my mom, my family, my teachers, and everyone else who knew me back then was so happy, and they supported me in this journey I was embarking on of being a CASA, right? So I get to university first year, I'm figuring out the place, and I'm still so obsessed about grades, and I'm studying so hard, I'm getting good grades as well. But second year hits, and then I start to find interest in other stuff, right? I start to pursue entrepreneurship, and that's when I started my tutoring company when I was in second year, right? And I realized that I love accounting, I love learning accounting, I love learning in general, educating myself, empowering myself, improving myself as a person. But I started to question this journey of being an accountant, right? Because I've always knew that I don't thrive in structured environments. I never saw myself going to a day job from 8 a.m. every day to 6 p.m. I was doing this thing, but in my head, I couldn't imagine myself actually in that job, if I may say, right? So second year passes, third year, that confusion starts getting worse, right? Because I'm like, I'm almost done and I'm kind of like near to becoming this thing, but is it really something that I want to do? So as I progress in my university journey and I'm running this tutoring company and it's developing, and I start tapping into academic coaching. So I start creating content around academic coaching, teaching people how they can study in a smart, more efficient way, giving them study techniques and study tips, and also trying to help them change their mentality, their mindset to believe that to be a top achiever, all you need to do is to have the right mindset, right? So I tap into that space and I fell in love with it. I find myself spending so much time creating the videos. I find myself spending so much time editing the videos. And I was like, this is what I love to do. I love teaching people how to improve themselves, be more productive, and also be the best versions of themselves, right? And fast forward, finish my final year of undergrad, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm graduating now. What should I do next year, right? A part of me is like, you should just go do your own stuff, pursue entrepreneurship, but the fear is so much. And when I'm asking my friends, I'm asking the people around me, like, you should follow this CASA route because you're killing it. You're killing accounting, right? You're one of the top performing students. So it definitely suits you. It's for you, right? I'm like, okay, cool. I'll apply for honors in accounting, and I apply for honors in accounting, and I start doing honors. So I have a supervisor working on this research paper, and every time I ask people about, okay, cool, I tell them about how I'm so confused and I don't want to really follow this path, but at the same time I have this fear that if I don't do this, what else can I do, right? And consulting different people, they all tell me that, now you're almost done. You'll have to like 3 years, because in accounting, you have to do an undergrad, do honors or postgraduate diploma in accounting. And then after that, you do 3 years of articles while you write 2 board exams, and then you qualify as a CASA. So I'm basically left with like 3 years to finish this thing. But the closer I get to it, the more confusion I have. This year, it has been one of the worst years, because beginning of the year I was even starting to not liking reading about accounting or doing all those kind of things, because I felt like I'm wasting a lot of my time and I could be doing something better, right? But as the year progressed, when I made a decision that I'm just going to finish this year and the next year I'm not going to continue with this route, and when I made that decision, I was so at ease. Because now I know I'll be doing what I want to do starting next year, right? But speaking to different people, they ask you every time, what's your plan for next year, because you'll be done. And then you're like, nah, I'm not going to follow the CA route. I just want to follow my entrepreneurship journey or whatever it is, right? And then they always insect this out and say, nah, you should study so that you have more credibility, so that you can do this and do that and do that. So that thing built up fear in me that I even started applying for jobs in the CASA training programs. And I applied for a couple of jobs. There are some of them who were willing to give me a contract. Some of them I had interviews lined up, because most people were like, you're such a bright candidate, you should continue with this thing. So I apply and I get all this contract, but the more I do it, the more I have to go attend an interview. I feel like I'm going to lie. I'm going to present myself as someone I don't want to be. I have to get there and be like, I want to be a chartered accountant, but deep down it's something I don't want to do. So that felt so much confusion until I consulted with my brother and I told him about it, and we had this long conversation about it. So we've been speaking about it face to face for quite some time. And this one time I remember I had interviews lined up for the next week, and I was sending him a message. I'm like, I don't feel like I want to continue with this thing, and I feel like I want to pull all my application, all my job contracts that were offered to me. I just want to decline them and be like, I don't want to follow through with this thing anymore. And send me a very long paragraph, which really helped me to kind of like make this decision. I can put it up on the screen here so that you guys can read it. But when I made that decision, so I went and declined all my job offers, and at the same time I went and cancelled all the interviews that I had lined up. And it was so scary. Even to this day, I feel like kind of like have that fear, and I'm kind of like regretting sometimes, but I don't know, I feel so at ease because I know that I'll be doing what I want to do. So one of the books that I'm currently reading now also helped me to make this decision. The book is called The Pathless Path, Imagining a New Story for Work and Life by Paul Millard. So this book really helped me to make this decision, to get that courage to decide that I want to do what I want to do next year, right? So I want to follow my own path. I want to create my own path, and I don't want to just follow the default path. This book basically, it challenges the default path, right? And the default path, they define it as the series of decisions and accomplishment needed to be seen as successful as an adult, which means a life centered around a good job, owning a home, and having a family. So in life, I feel like there are certain decisions and accomplishments that you have to achieve in a series. Like by 22, you have to have a good job. You have to be working for a huge corporate, and then you'll be seen as successful. Maybe let's say, for example, by 30 or 35, you have to be married and you have to have kids. So that's the default path. So what Paul is basically doing here is he's challenging that default path, right? That you have to follow a certain route in order to be successful in life or to be seen as a success. So I'm just going to be pulling a number of lessons from this book, which really resonated with me. And I'm just going to be sharing my thoughts on those lessons. First one is, many people fall into this trap. We are convinced that the only way forward is the path we've been on or what we've seen people like us do. This is a silent conspiracy that constrains the possibilities of our lives. This resonated with me because every time I speak with people, they say, you're so good in school, you're a bright candidate, you get good marks in accounting, you should follow the accounting, write the board exams, PSA, SA, because everyone who's like you does that, right? Who the hell decides to do honors in accounting and then after they decide to do their own thing, because everyone who does honors in accounting is expected to follow the CASA route. But for me, I was like, I want to craft my own path and see what possibilities I have out there. I don't want to follow the structured way because everyone who's like me is expected to follow that way. So the second lesson is, I want to see people live the lives they are capable of, not just the ones they think they are allowed to live, right? It's so crazy how if you do something that's opposite to how you feel like you're allowed to live, then there's this fear and then you always feel like you're a failure in life, right? Like for example, if you decide not to go to university after high school, you feel like you're a failure, you feel like you're not allowed to do that, right? The next lesson is, with so many options, it can be tempting to pick a path that offers eternity rather than doing the harder work of figuring out what we really want, right? Because if I think about it, when I finish my honors, I can either follow this route that's certain, right? And I can see it is possible. I sign with a firm, I write my board exams, do 3 years of articles, and then I register as a CASA, right? So it's so certain and I can see it, I can imagine it. But there's this route that I can't really imagine because I'm like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I can't really pinpoint and say these are the exact steps that I can follow. So with this one, it's like clear steps that I can follow. And if I follow them, most people will see me as a success. But with this one, I really don't have clear steps that I can pinpoint and say, I'm going to move from here to here to here, right? So it's just the pathless path. It's a way I'm trying to craft for myself. Now he introduces this idea of prestige, right? So he says prestige can be taught as the attention you get when you do things that others see as impressive, right? So Paul Graham, the founder of a startup incubator, sees this attention as a trap. In his view, prestige is a powerful magnet that webs even your beliefs about what you enjoy, right? So he's saying prestige is the attention you get when you do things that others see as impressive, which is what I've always felt like, right? Always felt like every decision I've ever made, I was actually doing things that other people could see as impressive. So you go to the best university in South Africa, other people are going to see that as impressive. You choose to do accounting and follow the CSA route and you crash it, people will see that as impressive, right? But once you start to make your own decision and be like, I don't want to follow this route, I want to follow this pathless path, I want to be an entrepreneur, people are not going to see that as impressive until you make it, right? They're going to feel like you're just reaching, like you're too ambitious and you just want to fail in life, right? So why would you choose a route that's not certain if you have this route that's certain which you can follow and be a success according to them? So as people, we usually find ourselves doing things because other people will see them as impressive, and that really takes away the opportunity for us to do the things that make us happy, the things that we enjoy, right? We study engineering because other people will see it as impressive. Actuarial science because other people will see that as impressive. So I feel like sometimes we need to take a step back and make decisions based on what we enjoy and what we want to do. And another lesson is, my friends all had impressive plans after graduation and I didn't want to be left behind. People were impressed by the job I was taking at GE and I liked how the attention made me feel. So when he graduated, he went to this big corporate corporate firm and he was signed with them. And most people saw it as impressive, right? They liked the attention that I'm signed with this bank, I'm signed with this audit firm, right? And as people see that as impressive, we tend to kind of like get lost in that attention. And then he further says how people perceive this achievement differed from how I experienced it. So sometimes the attention clouds our judgment because other people are clapping hands for us, because other people are applauding us, then we kind of like forget about how this makes us feel, how we experience this achievement. Just because other people are happy, we tend to feel like we are also going to be happy once we're there, right? But sometimes other people can be happy because you're doing something that's seen as a success to them, but to you, you're really not about that, which is what I've always felt, that I'm doing this thing. Other people are like, oh, you signed with this firm now and you're going to do this, and they see that as a success, but I'm experiencing it as I feel like I won't be happy in that place, right? And now it's like I'm only doing this to make other people happy. And he further states that part of me had been secretly excited about quitting my job and moving to a new city without a job, drawn by the possibility of adventure. So here is when he started working and he realized that this is not the life he really wants, right? And he was kind of like secretly excited by the possibility of like quitting his job and moving to a new city without a job and all the possibility and adventure. So that's what excited him, right? But he was scared to take that leap of faith because if he does that, now he's taking a route that's kinda not allowed, or that's not certain, that's not clear, and people are not gonna see him as smart anymore, which is something that's tough to do, to take that leap of faith, do what you want to do, regardless of what other people say or how other people will see that, right? And the next lesson is, this is the trap of prestigious career paths. Instead of thinking about what you want to do with your life, you default to the options most admired by your peers, right? Because everyone admires this option, then you tend to feel like if I can get that, then they'll see me as that top dog, as that smart person, right? Because everyone admires someone who's a CASA, then I want to follow that route so that people can also admire me, right? And which is something that sometimes we must just do away with, log in and say, what do I want? So far, those are the best lessons that I've taken away from this book, The Pathless Path. And after reading this book, and I actually read this book, I read like 200 and something pages in like 2 days, right? In 2 days, I read 200 and something pages, and I felt like it spoke to me, because the funny thing is, as I had this confusion, I prayed about it. I'm like, God, can you please give me an answer? Can you please give me an answer? And after consulting with my brother, I was like, okay, cool. This is confirmation that I must do what I want to do. And I was like, I went to YouTube, I searched best books to read, right? I just searched best books to read. And then one of the first YouTubers who popped up recommended this as a first book, and it was like, if you're ever confused about which career path to take, or if you're in a career and you feel like you want to quit and all those kind of things, you must definitely read this book. And I got this book, instantly started reading it. In 2 days, I got all these valuable lessons that in life, there are two parts. There's a part that's certain, that most people enjoy, and there's nothing wrong about that, right? And it's so certain, but there's another part that people don't usually follow. And if you want to follow that route, you must just be honest with yourself and be like, I'm gonna follow this route regardless of how other people perceive that. So make sure that you join me on this journey, like this video, share this with any other person who might find it helpful if you've always doubted yourself. And I'm not saying you guys should now leave your degrees halfway. Finish that thing, try to finish your degree, and then after that you can do whatever you want to do. Like one thing that keeps me going right now is even if I pursue this entrepreneurship journey and it doesn't work out, what's the worst thing that can happen? I have 2 degrees from the University of Cape Town, so I can easily go and look for a consulting job or look for another job and get paid a good amount of money, right? But I have to try. If I don't try, then I'll die knowing that I didn't do what I wanted to do, right? So this video is just to say, if you've ever wanted to do something but you thought people would perceive it as being a failure or people won't admire that choice, do it anyway, because most of the people, they won't even remember you 5,000 years from now, because no one will exist. No one who existed now will exist at that time. So make sure that you like this video, you comment if you have any question, and let's connect in the comment sections. Make sure that you subscribe. Cheers.